If you're anything like me, you start new hobbies or interests on a monthly basis. You're so into chess for a few weeks, but then you want to start playing tennis or golf, or maybe you watched a few Gordon Ramsay videos and now can't wait to create your own kitchen dreams or nightmares, whatever. You get the idea. We tend to get interested very quickly, and of course we always think that's our next big thing. So naturally in our excitement we, want to buy great equipment and everything. But obviously that's a mistake, because in most cases we all have limited resources, both in terms of money as well as time. After all, any hobby or passion is probably competing with jobs and family and 2.5 hours of social media every day. I have a video about that too, link is in the description. And that's okay, that's normal, but that's where the concept of creating a minimal viable product, short MVP, comes into play. You see, businesses from small to big, by and large, face the same challenges as we individuals. They are also always limited in their resources. So when a company, tries to come up with a new product or tries to get into a new niche or industry, they often create such a minimal viable product. This product is the absolute minimum to hit the market. It just has the absolute essential features in order to solve the main problem for the user base. A very rough cut, so to speak. And the idea here is that you will gather a lot of critique and feedback from customers in a very short period of time. And then you can learn from their feedback and improve the product. This saves a lot of resources, as it is obviously cheaper to create such a bare bones product, and it takes less time and you're launching faster, so potential revenue also comes in faster, which then gives you more margin to further invest into the product. And the most important part, you get valuable user feedback immediately, which lets you focus your next development steps on exactly those aspects that users actually want. So in an ideal world, in the end, using the strategy, you're building both a cheaper and better product. Going back to our new hobby, we can also apply this idea of an MVP. It's quite simple, really. Just invest the absolute necessity when starting out with something new. Especially when you're still, finding out whether you're gonna stick with it or not. How do you find such an MVP in any given hobby or niche? Just ask 1 or 2 experts, maybe within your family or a group of friends, or online on YouTube or Reddit. Ask them what the lowest cost of entry that at the same time makes the most sense would be. And there's an affordable MVP in any hobby, trust me. With very expensive passions like, motorsports or sailing, that minimal viable investment then probably is not a sports car or yacht, but probably doing lessons and then renting stuff, right? You get the idea. One thing that's really important to keep in mind here is when you do decide to, for example, buy an old and cheap camera to start out, know that this piece of equipment is not your limitation. You, with your limited skill set, are the limitation. And Usain Bolt would still outrun you in heavy mountain boots while you were wearing his high-tech running shoes, I don't know. For example, I've been a professional photographer for over 10 years now, and let's put it that way. It's not uncommon that I come to a hotel, I shoot hospitality, and there's somebody from marketing who has a more expensive, more professional camera. Heck, I even shot with this beauty here in exactly this condition, taped and everything, for 2 or 3 years, and I was not really limited by the camera in any way. So in the beginning, just ask for advice about the lowest point of entry and then forget about equipment altogether and focus on developing your actual skills. While this might sound extremely obvious, right? Trust me, it's not. When we get into something new and, we tend to read a lot, watch countless YouTube videos and reviews, and by we, I'm talking about myself a lot here. And that's where the Dunning-Kruger effect kicks in. We severely overestimate our knowledge in the beginning because, of course, we are spending every 3 minutes researching about this thing, our new baby. So naturally we believe that we soaked in a lot of knowledge in a very short period of time. Of course, that's not really the case, but the problem is right at the top of our hubris here. When we are most excited, we pull the trigger and, buy the new camera or the new headphone, tennis racket or whatever. And then reality kicks in, and best case scenario, we realize that we are by far not good enough to actually properly use that new piece of equipment, or we find out later that we actually bought garbage, or worst case, we are so frustrated that we don't make any fast progress despite spending huge amounts of money that we quit before we even started. So essentially by doing this, we often not only waste a lot of money, but sometimes we also kill our new passion right from the get-go. And that's why it's so important to really try to trust one or two experts in the beginning, make your minimal investment and skip this whole theoretical gear research at the start. That way this curve here might not be so extreme and perhaps your real knowledge curve as well as your perceived knowledge curve are more in line. And down the line, when you actually understand your own limitations, you can make a much better purchase decision where you will know yourself what you need and what you don't. So in conclusion, I would follow these 2 or 3 steps here. Number 1, you fancy a new hobby or skill or perhaps even career. First of all, congratulations to your enthusiasm. Now, try to do just as much research as needed to find 1 or 2 experts, preferably in your circle of family, friends, or acquaintances. But looking online on places like Reddit or YouTube is also okay. And then ask them what the best minimum investment to get into that hobby would be. And if they, propose something that sounds too expensive in your head, just ask them again, is that really the minimum? And, maybe ask a second person for their opinion, or if you do it online, try to look out for some, common ground people tend to agree on. And then just follow this advice and stop researching about new gear and stuff. Number 2, when you have done your minimal investment and are actually able to learn that new skill and practice and get lessons and whatnot, 2 things might happen. Either your interest slowly fades from day to day, or the opposite happens and your hunger grows even more. In both cases, you might feel tempted to buy into something better. Maybe you tell yourself, I'd be more motivated to practice tennis had I only a more expensive racket, and so on. Don't give in. Just don't. In the case of your interest already fading, no amount of equipment will rekindle that spark in the long run. You're just throwing money away. And even if you love it and you are motivated as hell and you look at that new camera with lustful eyes, please try to delay any purchase as long as possible. Think about that Dunning-Kruger effect again and ask yourself specific questions like, how will my photography be better with this camera? Where are my limitations now? And as long as your answers are, somewhat vague and, general, you don't need anything. And the longer you can delay any further investments, the more resources you have to actually get better. And in the end, you will know exactly when and why you need to make an upgrade. And as a third little bonus tip here, during this whole learning process, try to avoid people you commonly find on forums, for example, that are way more interested in their gear than in their skill set. Unless, of course, you want to become a professional collector, then that's another story. Well, that's it for me for today. I hope you liked it. And as you know, this is a brand new channel, so please give it a like. Maybe even consider subscribing. It'd be really, really helpful for me and I'd be extremely thankful. So have a nice day and goodbye.